Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be going over the 5 things that I love about the new Chevy Equinox, and then also the 5 things that I don't exactly like about the new Chevy Equinox. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into it. So the first thing that I like is the overall design. So Chevy's new design looked kind of funky in photos, but now that I've been able to see some of their new vehicles in person, like this Equinox and like the new Traverse, I actually think that it works pretty well. The side profile, not exactly the most exciting, but the front end, you've got quite a bit happening, and then the back end, I do like the style of taillights that they've gone for. And so, yeah, overall, I think that Chevy's done a pretty good job with designing some of their new SUVs. Now, the first thing that I don't like is the headlights. Now, I'm a person that's all about practicality, and so I'm just not a fan of a split light design. So if you guys don't know, this right here is like the daytime running light, and then you've got like the headlight down below, and then you have more lighting down below that. And so like, first off, I imagine if one of these lights breaks, it's gonna be an absolute mess because of, I mean, look at this, like, you can see how it's connected like right here on the edge. Like, I don't even want to know how much that's going to cost to fix versus if they just did a more standard light. And so, yeah, I'm not a fan of the split light design. I don't think it looks the best. And the Equinox actually doesn't look horrible. Like the new BMW X7, for example, that looks horrible. But this, it looks okay. It's just like, I don't know, the practicality side of me is just like, nope, can't do it. Now, the number 2 thing that I like is the interior. So this particular one is a Premier package that I forgot to unlock. And so it actually has this pretty nice interior. You got nice padding. You got these cool 2-tone seats. You got kind of like the little digital gauge cluster. It's perforated here on the dash, which is pretty cool. Nice steering wheel as well. And so, you know, again, for being kind of more like an economy car, I think that the interior looks pretty nice. Now, the number 2 thing that I don't exactly like is the powertrain. So this has a turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. It's got pretty decent power outputs, and I'm not opposed to turbochargers because, well, I live in the mountains, and so turbocharged engines do really well here at high elevation. That being said, they need to throw a more modern transmission in this, like an 8-speed or a 10-speed. I think that would improve efficiency, and it would just make it drive a whole lot better. And then, you know, performance would also just feel quite a bit better with it. And also, I mean, really small turbocharged engines, how reliable are those? It's another question. Number 3 that I like is the features. So on the key fob here, you can see we've got cool features like remote start, and then you can see we've got the opening here for the rear hatch. You know, pretty standard stuff. Keyless entry, that's another nice feature. I wish that all the windows were automatic, but just that one is. It also has memory seats. It's got blind spot monitoring, which is pretty cool. And then popping in, it has this cool 360 camera system. It's got heated and cooled seats. You can switch between all-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive. You guys probably can't see because the camera doesn't want to focus on it, but there's that little all-wheel drive button. Wireless phone charging pad. We have a panoramic sunroof. And so, yeah, I feel like it's got a lot of features, which is pretty cool. Number 3 that I don't like is potential reliability issues. Now, I just discussed why I don't exactly like this powertrain because, well, it could potentially be unreliable, and that's one thing. But another thing is GM seems to be going through a slight reliability issue right now with a lot of their vehicles. They've had quite a few recalls over the last couple of years, and yeah, quality overall seems to be slightly down, and so I just figured I'd put that in this video. I haven't had any issues while I've had this car, but I mean, this is also like a brand new car with less than 1,000 miles on it, so hopefully I wouldn't have any issues. But again, that is kind of, you know, slight concern. Number 4 that I like is the comfort. This provides comfort in a number of ways. First off, Chevy decided to actually put normal sized wheels on this instead of gigantic wheels and give it tires that actually have sidewalls, so that helps out with the ride comfort. And the suspension on this is actually really good, so that's part of the comfort. And then the other part is the seats. Now, Chevy kind of has had this thing where their seats are typically hard. These seats actually are relatively soft. They're not the softest seats on the planet, but seat comfort I feel like is pretty good. And then again, especially having some sidewall on those tires, that really helps out with the ride quality. Number 4 that I don't like is the size. Now, this is a smaller crossover, which is fine. A lot of people prefer that. However, what I do want to say is I feel like this is marketed towards families. That's just kind of what the Equinox has always been. And I mean, backseat room is okay. Like, you'd be able to fit a car seat, but you do have to move that seat pretty far forward to fit it. And on the topic of features, this also has heated seats in the back. That's kind of nice. I know it's a little bit of a detour, but I think the bigger problem, it's not a huge problem, but again, now that I realize how much stuff you need when you have kids, is the cargo area. This is actually pretty decent, but I think that if it were my money, I would jump up to like the Blazer, for example, just have a little bit more size. I think this is just a little bit too small for families, but you know, if you don't have a lot of stuff and if you maybe only have like one kid, I think it'll work. Now, number 5 that I like is actually the price. So this is a loaded up Equinox Premier, and it stickers for under $40,000. It's like $37,000 and some change if my memory is correct. And when the average brand new car is like $50,000, everything you're getting in this feels like a pretty solid deal. You're getting a car that has decent acceleration. Again, it's got a ton of features like the panoramic center, heated cooled seats, 360 camera system. Like there's a lot. And so the amount of features you're getting for the money, I feel like it's a pretty solid value. And finally, the 5th and final thing that I don't like is the fact there's not a hybrid. So if you've been following what GM has been talking about, they're going all into electrification, and I think this is a massive mistake because hybrids are amazing, and a lot of people really like hybrids because it's this in-between where if you have like a plug-in hybrid, for example, you can drive on full electric power and you can charge it at your house, and so that's great. But then if you go on long trips, you don't have to deal with range anxiety, you don't have to deal with the crappy charging infrastructure we have. And so GM jumping like straight from something like this to, you know, the fully electric Equinox, it's like cool, but there should be an in-between, and I think that it would sell really well with people that are purchasing this car, because if Chevy had an Equinox that, you know, had 30-40 miles of electric driving range, plug-in hybrid, and you know, if you don't charge it, you could still get really good gas mileage, a lot of people would go crazy for that. So I think that it's a huge missed opportunity, especially with this vehicle. That's pretty much gonna sum things up for a video on the 5 things that I love and the 5 things that I don't exactly like about the new Chevy Equinox. And you know, overall, I think it's actually a pretty decent car, especially for the money. Like I said, you get a lot of features for the money. I think the biggest thing that GM could do to improve this is, first off, get the EV out as soon as possible, and don't just like get rid of this and go all in on the EV version of the Equinox. Release a plug-in hybrid version of the Equinox. I think that would sell very well. Other than that, pretty well-rounded car, especially in the segment that it's in. Let me know what you guys think about this new Equinox.